Hey guys, what's up? Today I am building a whole mansion, and maybe a garage later if I feel fancy. While I am doing that, I'm going to read a bunch of Reddit stories. Let's read the first story. So, I won't lie when I say I'm an attractive woman, and I get a lot of matches on Hinge. But men still ain't shit. They just get creative with the disrespect. Anyways, I hop on Hinge and see what's up. I haven't been on a date or seen anyone in a while due to previous trauma. I see this guy on Hinge who prefaces his profile that he's only in town for 5 days for work. I'm like, whatever. He's cute. Let's see where this goes. We exchange messages and quickly make a plan to go on a date at a nice restaurant. When I say nice, I mean nice. He's my age, 25, attractive, tall, and makes money. She really emphasized that part. We hit it off super well. I even see him the next day and we have another date. And the day after that. He leaves in the early AM and I go to work. I tell him I had a good time and he says the same. I thought we had a decent connection, so I wanted to stay in touch. I ask for his Insta and he tells me he doesn't have it. Whatever, okay. Mind you, our first date he tells me that since he's Mexican, he has 2 names. The name on his Hinge was his nickname. His real name is something else, and everyone calls him that. I didn't really think anything of it until the 3rd day we were together. He kept saying he was waiting for a text from his boss, but it was like 9 p.m. He's in sales, so I was like, okay, whatever, they work weird hours sometimes. I asked for his Insta, and I found one by his real name. I didn't request him, but thought it was strange he didn't say he just doesn't use it or something along those lines instead. He said he didn't have it, period. Today I look again, and it's gone for good. He deleted it. So, he probably has a girlfriend, huh? I figured he didn't because he spends 70% of his work life traveling and knew it would be hard to maintain anything. But him using a nickname for Hinge is even sketchy, right? Anyways, this is on the ghosting subreddit because I haven't heard from him at all since he left, lol. Okay, I think that guy was really not into anything serious. Just in town for a few fun dates and a good time, you know? Alright, let's move on to the next one. This one looks like it might be family drama at a wedding, which is always a dangerous combination. Okay, so here's the story. Hi everyone, I've just got married a few days ago. We decided to do a small and intimate celebration after the registry office, and then have a bigger reception later. Even so, I was extremely anxious before the wedding, mostly because I was afraid that my parents wouldn't be able to stay out of drama. Unfortunately, my worries came true. But I also want to talk about some mitigating factors in case someone else may experience something similar. Long story short, I cut off one of my siblings, let's call them Gray, from my life a few years ago. I don't talk to them. I've deleted and now blocked them and their spouse everywhere on social media, and I've said everything I wanted to say to them. However, this person just won't accept my decision. Gray keeps trying to insert themselves into my life with my parents' help, or rather, by manipulating my parents. I won't go into reasons why I don't want to talk to them, but let's just say the decision to sever ties with a sibling doesn't come out of nowhere. My other sibling, let's call them Blue, also avoids Gray and feels very hurt by them, but neither of us ever got an apology from them, and we are always the villains in our parents' eyes. Anyway, as I've said, Gray won't take no for an answer. They've been trying to talk to me through my parents on numerous special occasions, such as my birthdays. My parents would wait for a perfect moment to trap me in the room and force me to video call with them. Gray lives abroad, and so do I. I only visit on holidays. They also tried forcing me to reconcile with Gray via other means, some more manipulative than others, but I stand firm on my decision. That's where this is going. My parents decided to video call Gray right in front of the guests and shove the phone to my face. That is actually insane behavior. Luckily, I have strategically positioned my husband between parents and myself, so they couldn't trap me this time. My husband just looked at the camera and shook his head at Gray, while I turned to my parents and said no. That's it. That's all I've said. No need for an explanation. They tried saying something in return, but I interrupted them with another no. There was radio silence on Gray's end, except their kid was screaming on the background. The show's over. Well, my parents, especially my dad, were really upset for the rest of the evening. My dad also took it out on Blue and accused them of manipulating my opinion of Gray, even though this isn't true at all. My mom later apologized, and I told her exactly how I felt and how inappropriate it all was, but I don't know whether this situation will teach them a lesson. This story may seem very mild compared to other stories on this sub, but it was a big deal for me. One look at Gray can trigger a panic attack in me. Gray did way too much for me to forgive and forget. Now on to the mitigating factors. Those guests, and my husband of course, who were aware of the situation immediately jumped on to comfort me. They've listened to me vent endlessly about what had happened, but they also were very discreet in front of the rest of the party. I'm so thankful for them. They did everything to make sure that our wedding went on smoothly after that. The night before the wedding, I've listed all the possible things that can go wrong, and this was one of them. I have then made a list of ways I can mitigate those situations, and that really helped. I felt more prepared for the chaos that I would be otherwise. The bottom line is this: you don't choose your relatives, but you can choose your friends and those who you call family. Surround yourself with the right kind of people, and you will be able to create great memories no matter the circumstances. I don't think she overreacted at all. If someone cuts contact, there's usually a reason, and forcing it at a wedding is definitely not the move. Also, I like how the husband handled it. Didn't argue, didn't escalate, just backed her up. That's honestly all you need in that moment. And just saying no and leaving it there, sometimes that's the best way to handle stuff like that. Oh, I really blocked poor Animal's way. Just want to add glass till top. Let's go ahead and read another one. I broke up with my ex 4 months ago and miss him very much. My ex is a lovely man, and I even learned a few Romanian terms of endearment for him. That's actually kind of sweet. He was very sweet, complimented me often, enjoyed spending time with me. But I can't do relationships. I'm a difficult person and worried I'd freak out on him like I've done with friends in the past. I also couldn't do messages every morning, night, day. I could have communicated this, but instead I kept going until I couldn't deal with it anymore. My friends also did not get along well with him. They only tolerated him because he was my boyfriend. I will not trade my friends for a boy. He is a very sweet, kind man. I recently saw that life's going well for him these days. I like that for him. I hope someone treats him better than I did. That's actually a very mature way to look at it. Yeah, this just feels like wrong timing more than anything else. Sometimes someone can be great, but you're just not in the place for a relationship. At least she realized it early, instead of dragging it out and making things worse. And yeah, missing someone after breaking up doesn't always mean you made the wrong decision. Sometimes you just miss what was good about it. Alright, let's start with this one. This already sounds like one of those landlord situations where things just slowly get weirder. So, I moved out. My problems with landlady only got worse. When I moved in, she told me I was allowed to have guests over as often as I liked. But then later, she changed it to twice a week after I had a friend over for several days in a row. And with everything else going on, I couldn't help thinking she was trying to force me to spend less time with my friends so I'd be more likely to want to talk to her son. This also wasn't the first time she suddenly added new rules after I already signed the lease. She also asked me to not come home after 10 p.m. because their dogs would bark when I walked in the driveway. I would not have moved in if this rule was mentioned before I signed the lease, because I work as a bartender. So it's not really an option for me to never come home after 10 p.m. Telling a bartender that is actually insane. All your replies really validated my concerns and confirmed that I was not overreacting. I guess she is talking about her previous post. So I started looking for different living arrangements. I talked to my friends about it, and one of them immediately said he'd actually been considering renting out a room in his apartment to save some money. So I moved in with him 2 weeks later. Landlady seemed quite happy to get rid of me if I'm being completely honest. According to my lease, I was supposed to put in a 4-week notice, but when I told her I'm moving out, she asked me how soon I could do it. Maybe she's going to try and find someone else to set up with her son because her plan didn't work with me. Anyways, not my problem anymore. Yeah, honestly, this just feels like she had a plan, and when it didn't work, she just moved on to the next candidate. And the rule changing after signing a lease is always a red flag. That's how you know it's going to keep escalating. Good move leaving, honestly. I was actually reading some of the comments on this, and someone suggested leaving a note hidden in the apartment for the next victim to give them a heads up. That might not even be a bad idea. Just a small good luck message for the next victim. All right, next one. I don't really know how to go about this post. My ex is 30-year-old and I am 28. We're together for 4 years. We did everything together. We were both truck drivers, so we used to work together, play video games together, go everywhere together. Literally did everything together. But once we decided to stay home from driving cross-country for 2 years, things started to change. I ended up getting a very good paying job driving trucks delivering gas to gas stations, and he ended up getting an okay paying job. We lived in a 3-income household, him, his mom, and I. Between all 3 of us, I made the most money. So with that, I was paying the bills, buying all the groceries, basically keeping the house above water. On top of all this, he has 3 kids, 2 baby mamas. And with his okay paying job, half of his paychecks goes to child support. He would only have enough money to pay for his car and half the phone bill. At the end of paying all of the bills, buying groceries, and buying his kids' clothes, shoes, and school supplies, I would be left with $200 to my name. Majority of the time, I was negative in my bank account, or barely having enough money for myself for the next 2 weeks. Wait, hold up. He's okay paying while she's basically running the economy of the household? Bruh. You're lucky she didn't charge you rent. There were other issues in our relationship. I caught him messaging other women, going to meet them. He didn't help me with his kids, none of the housework, didn't cook, nothing. He would come home from work, take a shower, and play video games. Whereas me, I would come home from working 12 to 15-hour shifts and cook dinner for everyone, 6 people. Make sure everyone ate, do the dishes, make sure the kids were ready for school, clean the kitchen, and then take my shower and get 3 to 4 hours of sleep. Bro, you have video games while she's doing all the chores? Kinda like comedy gold if it wasn't so sad. I did express to him that I needed help. I can't do everything and I'm getting tired. And for a little while, he would help. Do the dishes, do some laundry, entertain the kids. It didn't last long. It came with complaints of his back hurting while he did the dishes, or him saying, I will put clothes in the washer and start it for you, but you have to put them in the dryer and put the clothes away when they're done. It was a lot. I started getting burnt out, tired. Last year in November, I started working for a different fuel hauling company, but instead of working days, 3 a.m. to 3 p.m., I had to work nights, 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. I couldn't be home to cook dinners or make sure the house was clean or make sure the kids were okay because I would be at work. On Saturday, December 13th, 2025, I was at work and got a text from my boyfriend saying that his mom is pissed off at me. He told me she was talking crazy about me, how lazy I am, how I don't help clean up around the house, and some more stuff. This is just a general summary, but it was a whole lot worse. It made me feel horrible. I felt I wasn't welcome coming back home after everything he was telling me she was saying about me. I tried to ignore it because at the end of the day, I'm driving a rolling bomb and need to focus on work. I mean, dude is mad at her for being tired after doing basically everyone else's job? Come on, man. Well, later that evening, he tells me he has a confession to make, hence the title of the post. He told me he had been keeping a secret from me, that he got herpes 10 years ago. He claimed he had forgotten to tell me, and when he would have a flare-up, he would just choose not to tell me. I felt like my whole world crashed. Like someone threw 2 grenades at me, and they both exploded at the same time. I was angry, heartbroken, betrayed, lied to. I feel like he kept a very serious secret from me. Something that should have been mentioned when we first started talking. I was a mess of emotions. He swore up and down he didn't cheat on me. But in my opinion, how could you forget that you have herpes? You don't just forget stuff like that. And then, when you remember you do, you still choose not to tell me. I didn't know what to believe. I came home that night walking on eggshells because I didn't know if I was welcome or not, feeling my heart shatter into a million pieces as I stepped into the house. Fast forward to December 16th, I wake up to a text from him basically saying, we need to talk. And so I texted him, and he basically said, I think we should separate. You've been very distant ever since I told you about my STD. I feel like you're not being supportive and understanding, and it is very mean, and it's breaking my heart. I told him if he doesn't understand where my emotions and reactions are coming from, then he doesn't really care about me. It ended up turning into a heated exchange of text messages, so I agreed that we should separate, and moved in with my mom that night. On December 18th, I rented a U-Haul truck, rented a storage unit, and grabbed all my things from his house. We said our goodbyes, and I left. It's now January 9th, 2026, and I finally blocked him on everything. We were texting back and forth casually, cordially, up until today. I wanted so badly for him to still be in my life. He was my best friend. But it was getting toxic. He was sending me messages like, "You left without fighting. If you really loved me, you would have been more understanding. I would have never left you if you told me you had an STD. Yeah, okay, buddy. Maybe work on being a functioning adult first. I feel a mix of emotions from all of this. I don't know what to feel. Did I do the wrong thing and not try to figure out how to continue a relationship with someone who has an STD? Am I wrong for just leaving? Also, I did get tested and tested negative for everything. Man." This ex is just a whole vibe of bad choices. Not making enough money, not helping with the kids, complaining about doing literally a fraction of the work. I've been exhausted after a long week, and even I know this is above max effort territory. Honestly, walking away, that's the move. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself is just leave the circus and block the clowns. And the herpes thing? Yeah, brutal. But at least now she's free from the double whammy of bad work ethic and bad secrets. All right, here's the next one. My friend Mark has been planning a huge proposal for months. He's one of those people who loves big gestures, flash mobs, surprise parties, that kind of thing. His plan is to propose to his girlfriend at a concert next week. He somehow arranged for the band to briefly pause between songs so he can go on stage. He's spent thousands of dollars organizing this. Here's the problem. 2 weeks ago, his girlfriend asked me if we could talk privately. She said she's been thinking about ending the relationship for a while. Nothing dramatic happened. She just feels like they've grown apart. She had no idea Mark was planning a proposal. I tried gently suggesting that maybe she should talk to him soon if she's feeling that way. She said she planned to break up with him after the concert because she didn't want to ruin a night he'd been looking forward to. I almost told her about the proposal right then, but Mark had told me about it in confidence months earlier. So now I'm stuck with information from both sides. Mark is expecting the happiest moment of his life. His girlfriend is planning to end things a few days later. Part of me thinks I should warn Mark so he doesn't humiliate himself in front of thousands of people. But if I tell him, I'm betraying her trust. If I tell her about the proposal, I'm betraying his. So I've said nothing. And unless something changes, he's probably about to propose to someone who already knows she's going to leave him. Honestly, this is like being trapped in a rom-com that's turning into a horror movie. You want to scream, "Mark, step back, man!"
All right, moving on from Mark's proposal disaster, which, honestly, I'd pay to see if it goes sideways. Let's check out this next one. 29-year-old tech guy here. Been on dating apps just a few weeks after not dating for years, so I am inexperienced here. Was supposed to meet an Asian girl. Let's call her Sally. I'm also Asian. Yesterday afternoon at 3 at a coffee shop from Hinge. At 3, an Asian girl, let's call her Michelle, walks in and waves at me. We sit down and I pay for her coffee. Michelle looks different from the photos, but they are both software engineers and work at the exact same company as the girl I was supposed to meet, Sally. So I thought it was just makeup. We chat for an hour before I check my phone and see 5 missed calls from Sally and an angry text that she saw me with another girl at the shop. I get confused and ask Michelle if her name is Sally, and she says no, and my heart sinks. Turns out Michelle thought I was a guy named Kevin, and we were both talking to the wrong person at the same time. I apologize, explain the situation to Sally, but she says she's not interested in a follow-up date. I ask Michelle if she's interested in a follow-up date, but she also says no because the situation is too awkward. We both happen to arrange dates at the exact same time at the same coffee shop. So now I fucked up with 2 girls in one afternoon and wasted my time, LOL. TLDR. Met wrong girl at a coffee shop. Neither want follow-up dates. RIP. This is my 4th failed date so far. Failed a second date with a girl a few days ago, LOL. Dating on the Pacific Northwest sucks, lol. Man. This guy didn't just miss his date. He unlocked the wrong lobby entirely. Like, imagine going on a date, paying for coffee, having a full conversation, and then realizing you both are DLC characters from completely different storylines. Also, 4 failed dates? At that point, I'd uninstall Hinge and go touch grass for a week. But honestly, this wasn't even his fault. This was just bad RNG matchmaking. Wrong girl, wrong guy, same coffee shop. Universe really said, let's cause confusion today. I kind of respect that he still asked Michelle for a second date, though. Man shot his shot even after the bug in the system. Confidence? I guess? Okay, next is some corporate drama. Let's see what's happening in the office. There's a colleague in my office who has been dating another colleague for the last 3 to 4 months. It wasn't public, but people had an idea. They used to spend a lot of time together, lunch breaks, leaving office together, all that. Today, she got married. Not to him. She married her long-term boyfriend. Apparently, the relationship with that guy was going on for years, and the family was fully involved. Proper arranged come love setup. Now here's the twist. She told my colleague that she is marrying only because of family pressure. She says she loves only him. According to her, she will break the marriage in 3 to 4 months and come back to him. She has asked him to wait. And it doesn't stop there. They have already planned to meet in a hotel 2 to 3 days after her wedding. My colleague believes her completely. He says she is helpless and just trapped because of family pressure. From outside, it looks like a full drama series playing inside a corporate office. I honestly don't know if this is love, manipulation, immaturity, or just chaos waiting to explode. Man, this one feels dangerous. Like, from outside, this doesn't look like romance. This looks like a bad decision loading. Slowly. She literally got married and is already planning hotel meetups? That's not love. That's chaos with a schedule. And my guy believing everything. Bro is running on pure emotions. 0 software updates installed. I just want to make a few changes to the mansion to evaluate the interior. Well, here's an update to the Kale K marriage. I am going to read that. For people hoping for some more drama, here you go. He resigned. And things have become even more complicated. He resigned last night, sent the email himself. The HR process has already started. He told me he doesn't want to see her face in the office anymore. According to him, it would be too awkward for both of them. In the office, almost everyone is thinking the same thing, that he resigned because of her. Now about their situation. They have decided to meet this Sunday. He chose Sunday because he says her family will only allow her to go out for 2 to 3 hours. He also mentioned that she is insisting on meeting to prove her loyalty. He clearly said he just wants to collect his phone and some jewelry he had given her earlier. I have seen parts of their chats. It's mostly fights, crying, emotional messages, love emojis, and endless sorry. Another layer to this, one of her friends is regularly calling and convincing my colleague not to end things. She keeps telling him to wait, that she will eventually come back, that he doesn't need to take any step. According to them, she will handle everything. He is emotionally drained right now. But at the same time, he is still saying that if she comes back, he is ready to accept her. Okay, this is like watching someone play Jenga with their heart, one piece at a time, and the friend is just blowing on it like, it's fine, it'll hold. For context, he is 29 and she is 32. She comes from a financially strong background. The husband she married is well settled and holds one of the toughest degrees, not sharing details for privacy reasons. Totally messed up situation. This situation just kept getting worse with every update. Like, first the secret relationship, then the marriage, now the resignation. Bro didn't just leave the relationship, he left the company. I get it though. Seeing someone every day at work after all that emotional chaos would be rough. But quitting your job over someone who literally just married another guy? That's big. And the fact he says he just wants his phone and jewelry back? Yeah. Nobody schedules an emotional Sunday meeting just for item pickup. Let's be honest here. Also, that friend telling him, wait, she will handle everything? That sounds like the kind of advice that keeps people stuck in bad situations longer than they should be. And the biggest thing? He still says he would accept her if she comes back. That part kind of tells you everything. Like he's hurt, he's angry, but not fully detached and like still emotionally invested. Honestly, from the outside, this doesn't look like love anymore. More like emotional exhaustion mixed with hope, which is seriously wild. Totally messed up situation indeed. Next one. Okay, so this is a little embarrassing for everyone involved, including me. I have been living with my roommate, Kara, for about a year. Kara is genuinely one of the sweetest people I've ever met. Super warm, always checking in on people, the kind of person who remembers your coffee order. I love living with her. About 3 months ago, Kara suddenly got really into plants. Like, really into it. Our apartment went from zero greenery to what felt like a jungle overnight. She had succulents on the windowsill, a big leafy thing in the corner of the living room, little pots on every shelf. It was actually really cozy and I loved it. What followed was Kara becoming the unofficial plant mom of our entire friend group. She started giving advice left and right. Water it every 5 days. Make sure it gets indirect light. This one needs humidity. Put it near the bathroom. Friends were texting her photos of their dying plants and she'd diagnose them like a doctor. Everyone loved it. She seemed so confident and happy about it. I thought it was wholesome. Then one afternoon I was dusting the shelves while Kara was out and I accidentally knocked one of her succulents off. I went to pick it up and the whole thing just lifted out of the soil. Perfectly, like it was never planted at all. Because it wasn't. It was plastic. I checked another one. Plastic. The big leafy thing in the corner? Plastic. Every single plant in our apartment was fake. High quality, realistic looking fakes, but fake. I didn't know what to do with this information. I put everything back and said nothing. But then, that weekend we had friends over, and one of them was complaining about her fiddle leaf fig dying. And Kara launched into this whole 10-minute explanation about soil drainage and root rot, and I couldn't stop myself. I said, Kara, should we tell them? And she froze. The room went quiet. I immediately felt sick because I realized I had just put her on the spot in front of everyone. To her credit, Kara didn't even try to deny it. She just got really quiet and then started laughing nervously and confessed everything. Turns out she bought the fake plants because she loved the aesthetic but knew she'd kill real ones. But then people started complimenting them and asking questions, and she just went with it. She never meant for it to go this far. Honestly, this is how most accidental lies. One small moment and suddenly you're the expert. Everyone laughed it off eventually, but I could tell Kara was mortified. She's been a little quieter with me since, and I feel awful. I could have just pulled her aside privately instead of doing it in front of everyone. She says she's not mad, but it doesn't totally feel that way. I absolutely respect the confidence. Imagine giving gardening advice when your plants are literally factory made. That's bold. But yeah, exposing her in front of everyone probably hurt more because she seems like a genuinely sweet person. That's the kind of embarrassment that keeps you awake at 2 a.m. remembering it randomly. Okay, so there is actually an update to this situation, and it looks like things did get resolved. So I'm going to go ahead and read that update because honestly, I was curious how this would turn out. This update was posted just a day after the original situation. And from what I can tell, this might actually be one of those rare Reddit stories where things end somewhat reasonably. Hi everyone again. This is my update from my post from yesterday when I posted about one of my families wanting to cut my pay by $5. First, I'd like to say thank you to all the kind comments and great advice. I didn't expect my post to blow up the way it did. I'm grateful for all the support I was given. I'm sorry I couldn't respond to everyone, but still, thank you to all who commented. Okay, so after my phone call with the dad, I decided to text the mom and ask her if everything was all right, and ask why they wanted to cut my pay that much. She texted me back saying it wasn't an easy decision, but ultimately her husband felt it was best to have a sit-down with me and talk about my pay and what I'm doing as a babysitter. I told her I wasn't okay with the pay cut and they owed me the $25 they didn't pay me for Sunday. Mom ended up Venmoing me the remaining $25 and asked if I could come in this morning to talk about my future with the family. Well, so I ended up going because Mom reassured me Dad wasn't around. I talked to her and told her I wasn't happy that they did that to me and that I'm not going to babysit for them for $25 per hour when they have 3 kids. She told me she understood and was going to talk to her husband about it. 3 kids for $25. Yeah, that sounds stressful already. Later tonight, I went and babysat for another family in the same neighborhood as them. They're all friends. And I told that mom everything that had happened. She told me that the other mom tried looking for another babysitter and got quoted $60 per hour for the babysitting job, so she was pretty upset. Then that mom told me to tell them I've raised my rates to the rising costs of living. I guess Mom from the first family texted the other mom and asked if I was working for them, and the second mom said yes. Before I left, the first mom came over and asked if I was willing to make something work with her until she could work something out between us. The second mom then stepped in and said the going rate has changed and the babysitting rate for 3 kids was $50 per hour. Second mom really said, "Let me negotiate for you." The first mom said she felt it was too much money. I told her $30 per hour for 3 kids was too low, and she eventually caved in and we compromised at $45 per hour. Funny how $25 becomes $45 when options disappear. Well, the dad, the one who wants to cut my pay, is gone on a business trip for 9 weeks. So first, Mom told me she would pay me $45 per hour in cash until he gets back. And then, once he's back, all 3 of us can sit down and figure out a new rate. I agreed to it only because the dad wasn't going to be around. The first mom said she couldn't miss going to tennis or Wednesday night dinners, so she was thankful I was a reliable sitter. Now I have 9 weeks to find another job to fill in for Tuesday and Wednesday night work. I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I'm also really happy the other mom stepped in and stood by my corner when the first mom came over to talk to me. The mom I sat for tonight told me she would ask around and reassured me that it wouldn't be hard to fill in those days. I feel pretty good about that outcome and hope it all works out in the end. I have 1 more year of college, so I'm just hanging on until I can graduate. If you made it this far, thanks for reading. This ended way better than I expected. At first, I thought they were going to pressure her into accepting less money, but she actually stood her ground pretty well. And once they saw the real babysitting rates, suddenly they became flexible. Also, how interesting it is once Dad left, everything suddenly became negotiable. I don't know. Feels like he might have been the main problem.
All right, this next one is about a roommate situation. And honestly, I feel like everyone who has ever shared an apartment knows exactly how these usually go. So I, 25 years old, have been living with this dude, Jake, 26 years old, for about a year. We weren't friends before, just found each other on a roommate site. From the start, the vibe was off. He never cleans, eats my food and plays it off like it's nothing, and brings people over till 3 a.m. on weekdays. I've tried talking to him calmly like 5 times, but he just says I'm trippin' and nothing changes. Last month, I found a smaller studio apartment that I could actually afford on my own. I gave my 30-day notice to the landlord, paid my half of the final month, and just left. I didn't tell Jake I was going until I was literally loading the last box into my U-Haul. He flipped out, screaming that I screwed him over and now he has to find a new place or pay double rent. I told him it's not my problem anymore because I'm tired of living like a babysitter. Now, some of my friends are saying I was a jerk for not giving him a heads up so he could find a new roommate. But honestly, I feel like I gave the landlord notice, so I did my part. I don't blame this guy. 5 conversations? 5? At that point, you're not a roommate. You're doing performance reviews. Like, at some point, what did he expect? A chore chart on the fridge with gold stars? Also, the panic when the U-Haul shows up is killing me. Suddenly, he's stressed about rent, like, wait, we were a team. No, bro. You had a parent. Now you have bills. And honestly, this just feels like Jake finally getting promoted from child to adult, against his will. All right, looks like we're just about done. Just placing these last few blocks and adding some final touches here. And yeah, that's going to do it for today's Reddit Chaos. If you enjoy listening to Reddit stories while watching some cool builds, you already know what to do. Subscribe if you want to stick around. Maybe like the video if you enjoyed it as well. Anyway, I'm going to finish this up and probably start another build. See you in the next one.